Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video I am going to attempt one of the most common requests that I get, which is, can you do an eggless chaffle? Now, I don't want to get into a lot of videos where I'm doing custom chaffles for people, but egg allergies are a real thing, and there are some people that just can't enjoy a chaffle because they can't have eggs, and I would like to give them a chaffle. But before we start, I need to throw a little shout out to Mike Palmer of Accolade Designs, or Accolade Prints, one of those two. It'll be obvious when you go down into the description. Mike hooked me up with this t-shirt, Feed Me Chaffles. It's his design. He has a number of really cool keto t-shirts out on his site. Like me, he's an entrepreneur, he's a startup, so check it out. Maybe you can give him some love. When doing some of my experiments to try and create this eggless chaffle, I got out onto Food 52's site and looked at some of their suggestions for egg substitutes. And I'll link to that article down in the description as well. One of the suggestions was creating this sort of chia seed slurry pudding stuff. Tried that, really didn't like the texture. It was just a bunch of sort of pops, and I didn't feel that it was going to be a good waffly sort of chaffle, which is what I'm trying to create here. So I tried a flaxseed slurry, and that was the first recipe I've ever had that really gummed up and practically destroyed one of my Dash Minis. So that's out, which means I have one idea left, and that is aquafaba. Aquafaba is the liquid that is in a can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. You can actually whip this stuff up like an egg white and make meringue. I think you can even make mayonnaise from it. So we're going to see if we can make it work in a chaffle. We'll start by draining our can of garbanzo beans or chickpeas. And that ought to give us about a quarter cup of liquid. Maybe a little bit more, but we just want a quarter cup. I'll be using my standard food processor method, so I start with my dry ingredients, half cup of mozzarella, 2 tablespoons of Birch Benders Keto, and because I want this to be really sort of cinnamon waffly tasting, I'm going to use some Quest Cinnamon Crunch protein powder. Just 1 tablespoon. We'll process this until it looks like breadcrumbs, usually about 8 pulses. Then we'll add our quarter cup of aquafaba and process into a batter. And we'll scoop about half of that batter onto our Dash Mini. And let her go. It's been a little over 3 minutes and it has quit steaming, so let's get this chaffle out of here. Looks pretty nice, pretty good color. And our second one, also a little over 3 minutes. Overfilled this one just a tiny bit. A little butter. A squirt of sugar-free syrup. And we'll give it a taste. That is not a bad chaffle. In fact, I'm going to have another bite before I completely render my verdict. I like this. The texture is not as dense as a chaffle with egg. And I think if carbs are less of a concern for you, then Birch Benders Paleo would be far better than Birch Benders Keto. I think that'll give it a more waffly taste and a slightly less gritty mouthfeel. I feel that Birch Benders Keto has a little bit of a cornbread grit to it. I mean, really, with butter and syrup on it, this is definitely a passable waffle substitute for someone that has an egg allergy. You do not need to use the Quest Cinnamon Toast Powder. It's kind of an expensive powder. The only time I use it is when I'm making chaffles and I'm using 1 tablespoon at a time, so a container will last you a while. But you don't necessarily need to use their brand. You can use any brand, any flavor you want. Experiment, have a little fun. So if you or a family member have an egg allergy and have been jonesing for a chaffle, I hope this meets your needs. Thanks for watching.